Butterflies fill my spine, I feel myself getting hot again. Nerves rushing through my brain, yeah, they can't hear fiber from the trees. You're standing by his side, red drops burning down your face. Getting real close now, baby. Holy fuck, I feel it with you. I lose self-control. Now I found that you're not one to hear me now. You got me on my knees begging for your lady. And like a fool to stand around and let you blame me. And I'm riding in the sky to the heavens like an
Hi, welcome to the Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And tonight I got two special guests. For the first time, a husband and a wife of a wrestler. A wife of a wrestler. Because Bob.
Well, it could
one
be
of-
both. We might be Mormon.
Well, one of my producers told me that I did have a husband and wife on a few episodes ago, but she was a promoter.
Oh, okay.
And he was a wrestler. So this is a little bit different. But before we get into it,
Yeah.
a good friend of ours, a good friend of the show's,
Ed, yeah.
Ed Hunt, Uncle Eddie,
Yep.
passed away Sunday.
Yes, he did. Me and you actually heard about this a little earlier than most people did,
Right.
I think. Not that I'm all that connected. It's just, it just somebody happened to blurt it up on Facebook.
Right.
I think the family took the posting down.
Oh, yeah,
initially.
which I don't blame
No,
them.
no,
I mean,
no,
because
no.
that person didn't give the family a chance.
Because you want to, you want to kind of control that narrative as it
Right.
comes out. But Ed was, I didn't know him as well as somebody did. The last couple of years, I got to know Ed, oddly enough, after I got out of wrestling pretty
Right.
well, and he was always very affable, always very friendly.
Yeah.
A lot of charisma. Just
Yes.
walk in a room, and I mean, you look at all the posts for him.
Yeah,
It's
it's unbelievable. It
there's-
really is. It's phenomenal.
I
The
don't wanna,
support.
there are other people around here that could pass away and they wouldn't get that kind of attention.
No, definitely
And
not.
Ed deserved it. He was a good guy. He ran his shows were pretty solid.
Yeah.
And he was a solid guy.
Yeah, he
I
was.
like my talks with Ed.
That's awesome because I had a lot of interactions with him off the show and
Yeah,
like behind the scenes on Facebook and Messenger and stuff, talking boxing and all the other sports that we rarely talk about on here. Ed was a real good guy. He's going to be really missed by a lot of people. So rest in peace, Ed Hunt, Uncle Eddie. All right, guys. My guest, Maverick Wild. His wife, Mrs. Maverick Wild, Dale Despres, Scott Despres, Mr. and Mrs. Maverick Wild.
Just to clear it up, last name, Daypray.
Daypray. See, I say, but hey, how many times do I butcher names?
That's okay.
I always do.
I can't remember numbers, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so listen, Anthony Mark Balkas,
Yeah.
who also loved Ed Hunt too,
Yes.
knew Ed really well. Who was your favorite opponent back in the days of Chaotic? And what was your worst match in Chaotic?
So I'm not going to spend too much time on this.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
I want to get to my
Right,
point.
of
So I'll
course.
make it quick. I'll
Yeah.
answer the question. The best was Louis Ortiz. We had a match at the terribly named Gaythorne Hall in Methuen. And I had a couple of people come up to me afterwards and tell me it was the best match they'd ever seen live.
Really?
So, yeah, it was a really, you're working with Louis.
Right.
It's not
Oh,
that
yeah.
hard to have a good match.
True.
But we had an exceptional match with a really good finish and got a really good reaction. And I like that because I think people thought I worked a little too slow for guys like Louis. And
Okay.
So it was nice to be able to step up and show, hey, no, I can
Nice.
anchor this too. It'll be fine. Worst match? I don't know that I actually had a bad match. There was one where I beat the crap out of poor Arch Kincaid in with a chain. I don't think that was a very good match.
I think there's a few guys that would probably happy that you beat up on Arch Kincaid.
Yeah,
Seriously.
Yeah. I do feel bad about that a little. Just, I beat off on a pre-hard.
Right.
Yeah. So I would call that a good. I wouldn't call that a good or a bad match, but it really, I wasn't looking to have a good match. I'll be very honest with
Right.
you. You know, I was looking for a little. Axe was kind of an insulting jerk, and so.
From what I hear.
So.
Yeah.
I wasn't. Yeah, I didn't. He didn't please me that much. So.
Okay. Well, for both of you, what's the secret to a long and healthy marriage?
I don't know.
Well, you don't drink much, so it's not that.
Not yet. I don't know, just patience, understanding. You know, we've been together since 1987.
Yeah, we
It's been
met
a
in
long
high school.
time. Met in high school. Yeah.
Started dating back then.
Yeah.
The secret is, I guess maybe there is no secret. Some it's blind luck.
Right.
Have fun.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work. It
Yep.
really is. It's a ton of hard work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
especially when you have kids involved. and,
Right.
You know, because it's not like we don't argue. About a week and a half ago, we had one. I thought we were going to punch each other in the face, but you know, we. And she hits hard too. She's very abusive.
I bet.
Blink twice. Anyways,
He trained me good.
no, but a lot of hard work goes in, a lot of patience, especially in her part, especially considering that I did such an indulgent and selfish
Right.
thing with pro wrestling for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You say that, but at the same time, as your spouse, seeing you find something that you were so passionate about and so just engrossed in, and you were good at it.
Yeah.
It was a really cool
Right.
thing to sit back and
I
watch.
bet.
It really is. It doesn't happen very often. They don't always mesh together, your passion
Right.
and your abilities.
Very true. I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people say Alex Arion's the best wrestler to ever come out of New England. But Mav, I think you're right there with him, bud. I do.
Okay.
I really do.
You say so.
I do. I believe that. I really do. All right. Jerry Lane for Mrs. Mav. Dale, what was your initial reaction when you found out that Mr. Mav was involved or getting involved in the wrestling business?
Well, again, we started dating in high school, and I was a senior actually in high school when
Older
he
woman?
started.
Or was he older than you?
He was older than me.
Oh, so he was out of
a
school.
year ahead of me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When he started, I said, okay. I mean, what are you going to say? I mean, I've always enjoyed being in, I did a lot of theater in school.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the equivalent of that.
Oh,
but
definitely.
different, you know. It was exciting to
The
see.
hills are alive with the sounds of body slams. La, 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 la.
But no, it was neat. It was an adventure. It really
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, it's such an adventure I brought you on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so Jerry has one for you too, Mav. Describe your experience in NECW and how did it feel to be a two-time champion?
Was I two-time in ECW?
I think you were, yeah.
Okay. Oh boy, that shows you how good my memory is. I liked working with Sheldon at that point. He was bringing a lot of different guys.
Yeah, he was.
That's where I did the majority of the work with like Alex Arian and guys like Antonio Thomas.
Yep.
And Johnny Idol, who I didn't really work too much with over the years, which is odd because of the same
Right.
age group and stuff.
Right.
But it was. I spent all this time working for Jeff, and everybody always said, "Oh, the circus environment and the carnival." It's like, yeah, well, let's see how it works over here. And lo and
Right.
behold, guess what? People liked it.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Rob Marco for Dale. Do you know Rob by chance?
Only through brief
Okay.
conversations.
Yeah.
Because the only reason why I'm saying that,
I'm horrible with
for
names.
Dale, what's it like being a saint? You're like my girlfriend. She's a saint too. My mother told her she has the patience of a saint, and I have the patience of a flea.
She's gonna.
But a good combo.
Go ahead and tell him how you're not, and then I'll tell you how you're lying, and I tell you you are.
How much time do we have?
Plenty.
No, I don't see myself as such. I mean, just like I said, just being able to watch him. My son was the same way. My son did baseball.
Yeah.
Found his passion, was great at it, and it was amazing to do. My daughter did the same thing with music. And just, it's so fun to sit back
cool.
and just watch,
Yeah.
And just, I don't find myself to be a saint, but
Rob's a wise guy, though. Rob
Well-
can be a wise guy.
Well, there were all the years of self tanning that all the self tanners stained all the sheets. That's enough to drive somebody crazy.
Yeah.
There were the times that I maybe came home bleeding and fell asleep with a bandage on my head, woke up and the pillowcases were wrecked.
Right.
I'm not going in chronological order. When I first started off in New Bedford, I was wrestling in New Bedford and sleeping in the gym.
Right.
And guess who would sleep on the
Yeah.
bed bug bitten couches of the gym with
Wow.
me all night in the middle of
Wait, Yankee Pro?
New Bedford, warehouse district.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty sketchy. One night, the promoter's cousin came in to the office
Yeah.
and was doing a little with his girlfriend on the desk. And I heard noise, or she heard noise. She said, "You want to go check on that?" And I said, "Sure." And I picked up a 2x4 and I chased them both out of the office.
Nice.
And I came back. She's like, "Oh, what was that?" I was like, "Didn't you hear me screaming?" "Oh no, I was asleep."
But, knowing that you were there to take care of me, I didn't worry.
Right.
So,
And then of course, I ruined my daughter's first birthday by showing up with walking pneumonia at the thing after wrestling twice in one day.
Oh,
yep,
yeah.
ER, yep.
Yeah, that was great.
A lot of those type of stories, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Andy Miller for Mav. What was your favorite venue that you were able to wrestle at?
Oh, that's always the Hudson's Lions Club. It's
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love those
St.
shows there
Stan's a
too.
close second, mainly because I get to work with Rip so many times. Not so much in the hall.
Right.
But
That's where I saw the Eliminators too.
Yeah. That was like Jeff's laboratory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Love
really
that.
cool. All right. Mike Brickhouse Baker. Say hello to them for me. So Brickhouse says
what
hello.
a deep reaching and inquisitive question,
Yeah,
Mike.
yeah. So Brickhouse says hello.
Thank you.
Now, the next person is never asked a question, and it's not a question, but she's a lovely lady. Donna Rock Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them both that I will always remember their loving kindness.
Yep.
For those who probably don't know, that is Kid Crazy's mother,
Yep.
Jared Hall. I don't know how Dale feels, but I don't feel if you love somebody, you're not doing anything special by showing it.
Right,
You're
right.
just
Exactly.
doing
What comes naturally.
it. Otherwise, it's just a show.
Right.
And I don't. Well, I thank you for the compliment, but we don't do it for show. Jared was very
No,
special.
and she knows that.
Jared was
He-
very special to both of us.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah.
he was a great guy. Oftentimes we would bring the kids with us to the shows, and he and my son were both very into baseball.
Yeah.
And they would spend a lot of time playing back and forth. He was like a kid again. So
Oh yeah,
it
we'd
was-
almost have to be shooting hoops at the up in Claremont at the
Yes.
Zotto Arena.
Right.
Hey, we got to start the show. Get in here.
Yeah.
That's
no,
awesome.
no,
Jared was
yeah.
so good with my son Zach, and
Oh, I
even my
believe it.
daughter. And
Yep.
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
it's a shame how it turned out because
Mm-hmm.
he was
Great guy.
not even deep down right there. He was just an incredible guy.
Yeah, he was.
Had a lot of challenges in life.
Yeah.
I miss him every day.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, JP Griffin. How was it being married? How was it? How should have said, how is it being married to a pro
Let's not be
wrestler?
hasty.
Again, like I said, it was an adventure. It definitely was. It's not the norm when you talk to new people you meet. You say, "Yep, my husband's a wrestler."
Right.
They all think collegiate, and you say, "No, kind of like the guys that wear spandex and boots and all that stuff." But no, we definitely have come across a lot of people and made a lot of good friends and
Right.
family. The whole experience definitely taught my children not to judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and I think that was a great thing, definitely. No, it was good, and my kids both saw that you enjoy something, you like something, you go for it. It was
Excellent.
It was good. Yeah, no, it was fun.
All right.
Still fun.
It is. Man, I'm not working hard enough.
Did the tone on the road make it tough? So, like when obviously, because you were home with the kids while he was on the road.
Not all
like
that much,
doing
actually.
Nitro and stuff. I'm thinking.
Things like that.
W-
Well, that
Yeah,
was
but,
before the kids, actually.
That was.
Yeah.
I think maybe one of the hidden things, one of the reasons I really liked working with Jeff was because there was a friendly atmosphere for the
Definitely.
wives, honestly.
Right.
And the kids.
And the kids. It was very friendly towards the wives. The wives that the wrestlers all get there, completely ignore the matches. they'd be selling tickets and merchandise.
Yeah.
Kind of.
3D glasses.
But no, you just, and we that's how we met Sonny, through Jeff.
Right.
And that's how
Yeah.
we had the kickball game. that
Oh yeah,
we
the
loved so much.
kickball tournament. That was
Yes,
great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sonny had a kickball tournament one time.
Really?
Yeah.
It was fabulous. It was fun.
It was like,
I missed out on that one.
Odd in today's circumstances. A lot of chaotic guys were there.
Were there? Yeah.
Tons of them. I don't think Chase was there. I think Psycho was.
Yeah.
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 A lot of them were. But,
Right.
Yep.
But I love. And then I think about it. Dale, why don't you tell them about the lovely picnic / barbecue that you were commandeered to do all the wives were commandeered for doing all the cooking on, because Wolfman decided to invite 100 people from an African American church in New York.
Really?
They were all expecting to be fed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he has this ability to remember all of the negative things
Yeah, yeah,
about
yeah.
it.
That's not negative.
You
That's
know what
awesome.
I remember is like the bouncy house that tipped over, which was fun. They had a slip and slide. We played wiffle ball. It was fabulous. Zach was a ringer.
Coco Beware's kid was in the bouncy house, and my buddy Dr. Harrisy, Jeremy.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, what's up, buddy?" He's clinging to the side of the wall, and he says, "You've got to get me out of here now!" And then Rip would do the slip and slide, and he'd get so much ahead of steam, and he was so stocky and short. And,
Yeah.
and he'd just
Keep going.
And it was one with a ramp, and he's like, "Whoa!" He came flying off at about 12 feet in the air and crash landed in the grass.
Oh, my God.
The barbecues were awesome. They
Right.
really were. I mean,
The whole crew was awesome.
Yeah.
We just have had a great. Where else would you have this much fun?
Right.
Come on.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. Rod LeQuia?
The choir. Yep.
Choir. Okay.
no, call him that. I like that.
Rod
Rod.
LeQuia.
No.
So yeah, Rod LeQuia. I'm sorry. I'm
choir.
just joking, Rod.
Rod LeCour.
I have but he didn't ask it. I have
didn't.
lots of questions for the lovely Mrs. Wild. Serious though, you two were always cute with each other.
Yeah,
That's,
we went to school with Rob.
Yeah, we went to Rob. He was in our high school,
Yep,
actually.
he was in my grade. Yeah.
Well, I should ask her. Kevin Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember your first interaction with Kevin Hughes?
I
The first
do.
time you noticed Kevin
Good
Hughes.
question.
So
Leo.
actually, yeah. So we one of the first shows we actually went to was at Jeff's, and didn't know what to make of what yet because I
Right.
didn't know anybody. And I can remember sitting and watching, and he came out and he was announcing that night, and he's standing there and he's looking up at the lights up above and talking, having a full conversation with the lights.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
every now and then he'd turn and he'd look at the audience and go, "Did you see that? Did you hear what he said?" And I just, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Because Jeff would drop, that's one of the things I liked about Hudson, he dropped a center light
Right.
over the ring like an old-fashioned
Yes.
boxing ring.
Yeah.
Like an old-fashioned boxing place.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin decides to talk to the light.
He was talking to the light. Yeah,
Kevin was great.
he was.
I mean, I remember him, like you said, though. I laughed because when he said he announced, it was just hilarious. The winner, that cheating bastard.
It sounded like he was eating the microphone.
Yeah.
I think I've said this
Yes.
before.
Yes.
What was that?
But the nicest guy you'd ever meet. Like I came on, I always brought my merchandise, and he brought me these 2 videotapes. The heels of wrestling, or the great villains of wrestling, the great babyface, or good, I think it said good guys.
He was great. Like if
He
he
gave it to me, and I'm like, take something. He wouldn't take anything back.
if he didn't like the person you were wrestling, but he liked you, and the other person won, he would announce you as a winner.
Yeah, Kevin was crazy. And that's one of my favorite episodes we've ever done here.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. All right. How do you balance your own life with your husband's career? And I know Mav's not wrestling now, but so how did you balance your life?
Yeah, how did that?
So at first, again, we didn't have kids.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy. Once the kids came along, we did a lot of divide and conquer.
Yeah.
Both the kids were very active in sports and school activities and whatnot, and we had my sisters would sometimes babysit the kids and we go together, or sometimes they'd come with us. Sometimes he'd go by himself.
Yeah.
he'd get up at like 3 a.m, go work out, go to work, get out of work at like 3 o'clock or so, 3:30, go pick up my son, take him to baseball, and that was during the week.
Right.
And then on the weekends, he was,
Yeah.
going down or up north, I should say, and wrestling. And we were busy. I look back down and say, I don't know how I did it.
Right.
But, or how he did it. But, it was a good busy though.
Yep.
It was a good busy.
Excellent. Okay. And what are some of the biggest challenges you've faced as a wrestler's wife?
Oh, always worrying about him getting hurt. Always.
Right.
I never did though.
Yeah. Or the times that I would watch the matches and you could tell sometimes, but sometimes you'd look and you say, let's see, no, he's okay. He's okay. No, you okay? Yeah. Okay, he's okay.
Right.
Because you worry about
Right.
somebody that you love getting
Yeah.
hurt. It's not, it might be fake, but it's physical.
Right.
They're very physical.
So did you find yourself getting like really invested in a match you're watching?
So not typically. I've told him a lot. I tend to like sit back and watch and unfortunately critique.
Yeah.
Not just his, but just in general, like quietly to myself. And it takes a lot to catch my eye sometimes. So the guys that would catch my eye, I would say something to him.
Yeah, I wanted to get that because that was actually important. And we can all talk about training. We can all talk about experience.
Right.
There's nothing quite like Dale is not really a wrestling fan. She
Yeah.
never, but she had some familiarity with it because her brothers were into it and stuff.
Okay.
My dad.
So she wasn't, so it wasn't totally alien to it.
Right.
And she's seen a parade of guys, both good and bad.
Yeah.
More bad than good, but no, honestly. So when she would say, Sonny did this thing in the ring, and it was like really neat. It wouldn't be a move; it'd be how he reacted to something.
Right.
And that was
Analytical is the term you're looking for.
when guys go to wrestling school.
Yeah.
They're bumping off each other and they're running 100 miles an hour and they're probably pretty good at it and they think that, and sometimes they think that's it.
Right.
But and they'll get dissenting opinions from guys like Mike Hollow or other trainers
Yep.
like that, and that's fine. But those are experienced eye. When you're looking to draw in more people than just the base wrestling fans,
Right.
you have to know how to attract them and keep
Yeah.
the attention of a casual
Yeah.
fan.
Right.
So Dale was a great barometer for that because if she noticed something, it was probably pretty good.
Right.
Or pretty miserable, either or. But normally she only points out the good stuff because my wife and I are completely different. I am, if there's a situation coming up that seems to be like, might be nasty or
Yeah.
hard to do, she's like, oh, I'll just go at it. It's probably not going to be that bad. And, she just
Cross
deals
that bridge
with
when
it.
we get to it.
Oh, yeah, and I'll just handle it as it comes.
Yeah.
Me, I'm the complete opposite. I look at something and go, that is gonna suck. But then if it only sucks kinda, I feel better because
Right.
I don't mind being wrong.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's okay, and I feel relieved. Unfortunately, I'm not normally relieved, but
Well, when you said you saw Sonny do something, it might have been the thing that Sonny used to always say here, that he would try to get that one fan to either hate him
yeah.
or love him. You know what I mean? You see that little kid going, come on. You know what I mean? And that's what Sonny always would say.
Well, if you find the right one, it starts getting infectious for the crowd.
yeah.
Right. Okay. How does your career affect your emotional well-being? So, I must have wrote this wrong.
How does his career affect
His career
mine?
affect your emotional well-being? Yes.
Again, I just always worried about injuries,
Yeah.
worried about the future and, again, future injuries and stuff like that. And, we're coming up on some of that stuff now, but
Oh, we've been on that for a while now, actually.
yeah, I mean-
the injuries and
But I mean, not that I wish that you would have ever gotten injured or hurt or anything, but I mean, I wouldn't, if I had to go back and do it again, I don't think I'd change the trajectory.
Right.
No.
How have you handled the injuries that he's had to have fixed?
One at a time.
There you go.
Yep.
Yep.
Got
So
two new
about
knees and
once
two new
every 3 days.
shoulders. Yeah. Two new knees, two new shoulders. I'm replacing one piece at a time.
Excellent, great answer.
So I don't think I've talked about this on the show, but Dale had I hope she doesn't mind me bringing this up. Dale had a brain tumor
I remember, yeah.
several years ago, and it was non-cancerous. It was a
Acoustic neuroma. There you go.
Acoustic neuroma. It's a tumor that grows right here,
On the vestibular nerve.
on where the nerves for hearing.
And
Not
balance.
everybody's a scientist like you, Dale.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I
Where
don't
your
even.
hearing and your facial control
Good
muscles
thing you're
don't come
pointing to it,
out.
because that's how I know where it was.
Yeah.
It really cuts into them. Sometimes you'll end up looking like you had a stroke. But her balance was all off. She had tinnitus bad.
Right.
She had lost hearing in one ear.
Yep.
And she had to have an operation to have it removed.
Right.
She opted not to have radiation treatment because just get out. I don't want it there anymore.
Yeah.
And I was scared to death.
I'm sure you were.
For once in my life,
course.
it's me, and I'm on the spot. And this is, I don't want to exaggerate and say it was life-threatening.
Oh, it's brain surgery.
But it was. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was.
I didn't look at it so much as life-threatening until she had to go back because there was a defect in the cement they used.
No. They cut into the skull and then through the membrane and then to the brain area, and there was a small hole in the membrane, so I had a leak.
Oh.
Yeah.
So we were sitting at home and watching her head get bigger. You know, and
Squish, squish.
you should go to the hospital. I think you should go to the hospital immediately. Dale.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that was the last time I was ever at my best. You know, I had to run around taking care of the house, taking care of her.
Right.
That was, my father decided he was going to come camping in my front yard that year too. I'd try and keep him out of there, and no,
It's okay.
Dad, stop going in there. He's trying to sleep. Oh, don't bother too much. Hey, how you doing? But that scared the living hell out of me.
Sure it did.
And some was selfish too, because some people think I'm joking. They say, "Well, you're my insurance policy. I know I'm going to break down. You're going to take care of me." All of a sudden, I'm like, "Oh my God, I have to take care of myself. That sucks."
Well, I used to joke between him getting hurt, my son being athletic, getting hurt, my daughter could like trip on air, and it was always getting hurt. And I used to joke around, it's like, when I do it, I'm going to do it good. And little did I know. Little did I know.
Yeah, but tying into that, for some reason, because I had all these injuries, Dale thought I was like a doctor.
I did. My son would injured his knee, and I was like, "Can you really look at that? Can you what do you think?"
be like-
I'm not a doctor. Yeah, but you've injured your knee before.
Yeah, right.
Seems screwed up to me, Dale. I don't know. Tell you.
That's funny.
They don't have an MRI. I don't know.
Right.
If MRI machines embedded in my eyes. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
Yet, that's coming.
All right. Having two children, how did you help them understand what Dad does?
They were born into it, really.
Yeah.
My son, when he was little, there's a 5-year span between the two kids.
Okay.
And I think Zach was about 3 or 2.5, maybe 2 or 3 when you first started up with Jeff. And he used to come up and he just would run around, not really pay attention. Then when he got a little bit bigger, they'd get the ring set up and he would take them in and they'd fool around. And,
There's a picture on my refrigerator of me and Zach in the ring.
Yeah.
He's torturing the hell out of me.
Yep. No, and
Never
no,
put me over.
all the guys were always really good to him. They were really good to me too. Always very
Right.
respectful and just a great group. But yeah, both of them. And there was a few times where my son's birthday party, he says, "Can I have a birthday party at wrestling? Pack him in the car. Let's go."
Nice.
Oh, yeah,
they
I
thought
remember
was
that.
cool.
The kid puked up the donuts on the way up.
Yep.
What happened?
Oh, one of Zach's friends, we had to pull over on the way into town.
Yeah.
Too many donuts.
Too many donuts, too much driving. It was a bad combination. There was jelly donuts all over the side of the
Yeah.
road. Yeah. Charleston, New Hampshire, someplace, I believe it was.
Yeah. All right. Well, did the kids watch his matches that were on television?
I don't think the kids are born yet.
The TV matches?
Yeah,
No,
they weren't-
anything they saw would be pretty much live.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back actually to that last question, to how we kind of
Yeah.
kept the kids not too scared.
Right.
Probably how I approach just about everything else in my life. I try and make a joke out of it.
Right.
So I hit people hard. I don't. So I would constantly have this bruise right here.
Yeah.
And at first I didn't know what it was, but then I figured out what it was when I clotheslined somebody. That was their chin, leaving a bruise on my bicep. So I'd bury them.
Yeah.
I don't mind telling you that. But the kids would see the bruise and like, what's that? Oh, that's the pain button.
Ouch.
Don't touch it. So you'd be sitting there. Don't touch the pain button. Don't touch the pain button. Leave the pain button alone. And then he'd chase me around the house. Daddy's got the pain button. Ah!
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then
That's really cool.
But then we'd go we'd do birthday parties with just like her relatives and kids, and I was in really good shape at one point. So I'd have like 20 kids chasing me around the playground, and I'd be jumping at them and having to move, and I'm banging myself off of playground equipment, and taking bumps on the playground, and because I couldn't get enough of bumping apparently.
I guess not.
Just pay me in birthday cake. Pretty much what you pay every independent wrestler.
There you go. All right. Did they have questions though? Like when did Zach have questions when he got old enough to be like,
No, they were just used to it. It was the norm. Neither one of them were really all that into wrestling.
Taylor thought she was for about a minute.
Yeah.
Zach liked the athleticism, but he could never understand. They tell you to lose and you lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the competition? The competition is trying to be the best one on the show.
Right.
It's different.
Right.
He's not geared that way.
They enjoyed.
He wants points on the board.
They enjoyed going to the shows, the environment, the guys paying attention to them,
And how do you not?
the friends?
If you're going to take a kid to a show,
Yeah.
all right. Now this is hard to say with Jeff sometimes because occasionally he'd have like a night of all cage matches and stuff like that. Don't bring the kids to that one.
Right.
When you're doing the loser eats dog food matches, the loser gets dipped in the toilet
bowl. Yeah.
match.
Come up with the baby Ruth.
Yeah, and just all these really weird, wacky, stipulations. The kids aren't going to be into that. They like that because it was silly. It was funny, and Dad was doing it.
Yeah.
The nights that you knew that it was going to go beyond that, you made sure that the kids didn't come.
Yeah. Until Zach got to be 14 or 15, I was running on shows.
Yeah.
Then he was at all of them.
Well, somebody had to mop it up.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's dead. Yeah. The great parent I am. My 15-year-old kid mopped up my blood off the off the floor in Rochester.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right. Tell us about your own background and how you met your husband.
So I grew up in a small town called Ashburnham. He grew up in a small town called Westminster. Actually, he moved there. And they had a regional school district. We actually met in art class the year before we started dating. We had like long tables, and I would sit down one end with a group of people, and
Picasso,
he
baby.
sat at the other end with some other kids. And my first real memory, I mean, I hardly even knew he existed for the most part.
Most girls didn't.
The first real interaction was one of the last days of school, and he was hanging from the beams in the classroom, and we had a really stern art teacher, and there was a lot of ruckus and laughing, and she didn't catch what happened, so he was trying to ask everybody what happened, and she thought I would tell, and I didn't, so he thought I was just the bee's knees.
Nice.
So it's
And
like,
then
She didn't rat you out, dude.
then the following fall, we actually were in the same math class together and sat next to each other and just got to talking and got to know each other. And he stood in line at Stop and Shop where I was working as a cashier and pretended like he was going to buy a pack of gum, handed me a rose, and asked if I would go out with him.
Ooh, charming,
And I
man.
said yes. And he says, I got to go. My dad's in the car. But he didn't even
Not
drive
bad,
yet.
though.
Yeah, we were young.
flowers are in Dad's move.
Was Dad's move?
Flowers for every occasion.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you
yes.
can't go wrong with flowers.
No.
You really, with a woman, you can't. You really can't.
Yep.
Leaving a job, couple of the women in the office, flowers.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah.
That was the way it was taught.
Right.
Flowers are big.
Yep.
You gotta make up for all the other stupid crap you do.
But anyways, yes, we started dating in 1987, and we just
Wow.
been together since. We got married in 91, and we were young.
Yeah, very.
So you guys been married 38 years. Right? Am I right? 38?
91. We got married in.
Oh, no,
91.
but I'm sorry. Together, you said 87, right?
Yep.
So that would be 38 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know how that's possible, given I'm only 35.
We broke
She's
up.
a lot younger than
We
you.
broke
man.
up.
She's a way lot younger than you, and better looking.
She's like a year younger than me.
Huh?
She's like a year younger than me.
She's way younger than you.
Yeah, but I'm way more immature.
Well, that's true.
That count.
Yeah.
Kind of balances us out.
Yeah, I think that's why we get along so good, because I'm very immature, too. I really am.
I mean, you just heard a story where he was hanging from the beams
Yeah.
at age 16 or 17 years old, swinging from like an ape.
Yeah.
Do I
Were you
hear
in
you've
good
grown up
shape?
much since then?
Were you in good shape in high school, too, though? I mean, because, like...
Not like I'd later get. But
Oh,
I
my
was,
God, you got unbelievable
But
shape.
I was in
you
pretty
were.
good shape in high school, yes.
Yeah.
I was bullied a lot. And frankly,
Yeah.
I was bullied a lot until I did my first summer on a roof and then realized none of you were going to hurt me like this did. And I just started swinging.
Right.
So, and yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
So, what drew to him? Was it his personality? Was it his,
yeah.
what is his good looks?
I mean, it was either talk to him or listen to math, and
smart move.
I already knew math, so
yeah.
I should have failed that math class
Yep.
so bad, but that guy just couldn't wait to get me out of his class.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're not coming back here. That's enough. You pass.
Oh, he is the most boring teacher.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
What's the one match that you remember from him having? Is there any one match that you remember? He came home, he was cut, he was bleeding, or just something?
Well, one of the first ones when he was working down in New Bedford, the first time that I ever saw him bleed, I was out back holding his forehead together after the match. That one's kind of memorable.
And that one was unintentional. So,
That was unintentional.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I didn't
I
do
think
that till
that
10 years in.
some of
Okay.
the matches he had with Rip were really impressionable. You know,
Yeah. They were bloody.
They were both great
Some of them were
workers.
bloody.
Yeah, they were.
Some were pretty
But
bloody.
not just the bloodiness; it was the pace of it and
Yeah.
the things that they did made sense.
Right.
Versus just let's do this move, let's do that move.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Dill will watch.
Which was a lot of matches on Jeff's card. There was a lot, but when you wrestled Rip, or you wrestled Sonny, or Rip wrestled Jeff, which wasn't the most athletic wrestling match, but it made sense.
Jeff actually
because
has
they.
some underrated.
Oh, I
athletic
agree.
wrestlers.
I agree.
You know, Gary Cadalis, who
Yep.
was like
Yeah.
90 when he
Yep.
got into the
Gary
wrestling
the Couch.
business. Gary the Couch Cadalis, yes. Even Amato. Amato was
Yep.
fairly talented athletic kid. You know, he had a lot of people like that. He really
Right.
did. You know, but make no mistake, it was that was an old territory guys. This is
Right.
the way we do it. That's
Yep.
why you get so many funny stories. That's why you get so many weird stories.
Yeah.
You know, that's why you get stories about Coco Beware's kid in a bouncy hut, or Greg Valentine and Coco Beware at oh my God. Sorry, this is off the marriage subject. I don't think I've told. We were at what used to be a Howard Johnson's in Bellows Falls, Vermont.
Okay.
After some matches, and this doesn't involve Dale at all. I just went off on a tangent.
It's okay.
And they got in there. It was past closing time, but Jeff and Rip showed up with Greg Valentine and Coco Beware, and they let him in. And apparently, to keep the kitchen open, they let the cook wear all the title belts. But they made him get in his underwear, and they took pictures of him in his underwear in the lobby of the restaurant, wearing all four tag team belts, heavyweight belt, New England belt.
Oh, my God.
He was a skinny guy, had about half his teeth. It was we just laughed and laughed. Or I guess later on that night, Rip did naked football drills in a hotel.
Was that for Gary?
No, that was for Jeff.
That was for Jeff
That was
in
for
Vermont,
Jeff.
yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah. That was actually, we ran in Claremont, New Hampshire, but you know how the highway just cuts right
Yeah.
up on either side, so it was easier to get supper at night on
Right.
the Vermont side.
That's wild.
But it was great. You can't have to Rip doing naked football drills. Which is even better because he used to have Jeff had one of his many gimmicks. He was Blitz. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And
Yeah.
he had the leather football helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
That was funny. Blitz. Rip in a span of 3 years had so many different cats. The alien guy, Right? What was the alien from outer space or something?
Honestly, I think Rip was breaking down early. I mean, Rip, I was a heavy pumper. Rip made me look lightweight. I just
Right.
the things he did to himself, and then frankly, the way myself and a few other people is like, wow, you really beat this guy up and get some heat. So he took some tremendous beatings.
Right.
He was pretty much physically screwed up around 31, 32 to the point where now it's time to put on your alien suit and go work, Holman Stadium with Jeff.
Yeah. Nice. All right, so I'm going to bring up some people that were part of Jeff's wrestling family in a way. Betty.
Yep.
Betty
Love
Goodspeed.
I love Betty.
Now, were you grateful that Mav never asked you to make any outfits together?
I did. I certainly did.
You did?
I made him a robe.
I've taken advantage of her constantly.
When he first started, he used to throw out headbands. I used to make the headbands.
Yeah.
I made a robe. I made trunks. Actually, they were a little small, but yeah.
Keep going. In a robe.
Yeah, I made the robe.
With the yellow robe?
No, that was made by Title Boxing.
Oh, okay.
No, I wasn't that good.
No, she had this other one. She made me a couple of vests. She made me
The vests,
a really
yeah.
nice neon green and pink satin robe. She did
Nice.
a lot of stuff, We didn't really
And a
have
very
great
old sewing
sewing
machine.
stuff. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But, it's kind of funny she mentioned the headbands and I mentioned just before that we had broken up very, very briefly at one time. So in between there, I had a wrestling match in Carver, and I had these headbands that I would throw out to the crowd.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to sew, and she wasn't there anymore, so I just tried to make this thing out of like metallic fabric and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I felt so empty without her already, and I took it and I went to throw it into the crowd, and the wind caught it. It just fluttered in the breeze. And slowly and impotently sat down in front of me. And I said, that's me without her.
Oh.
Just a floating piece of
Yep.
shiny but useless
Lost.
fabric.
Lost.
No.
It's
You gotta give yourself more credit.
It's like the leaf. I was like the leaf from Forrest Gump. Except I was going down. It was a
Right.
crash pattern. Yeah.
Oh, my God. What about, you remember Tarzan?
I do.
Any memories of Tarzan?
Telling him to stand up straight.
You had to tell him to stand up straight?
Dale, go again.
And him and his brother.
Have somebody who's not a strict wrestling fan with you.
Yeah.
She went up to
up
Bud's
straight, you
place
look
with me.
so much taller.
Bud's got this guy. He's a nice guy. He's about 6'3", 6'4", who looks like he's 6 feet tall because he's all lurched over.
Right.
He looks like he's standing there like a Lay's potato chip. I was like, would you kick the crick out of your back and stand up and use that height? What's wrong with you?
That's funny.
You have a built-in advantage, everybody. Come on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
What about Paul? Paul Hodgkins. That's his last name, right?
So
Yes.
ironically, my aunt married into a family, and that was their last name was Hodgkins, but
Yeah.
there's no relation.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was unique. Again, like I said before, definitely with being around so many people that are different, you learn not to judge a book by its cover.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, he made some bad decisions, but
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We had a couple of infamous parties at my house, and Paul was at least one of them.
Yeah.
And he was out of a contest with Ethan. What's Ethan's last name? I can't remember his last name on time. He's an African American kid. Worked for Larry a lot.
I know who you're talking about.
Well, I don't know why I'm spacing
Davis?
his name. No.
Ricka?
No. I'm just doesn't matter.
Anyways.
It's Ethan. Him and Ethan were having a contest. They'd put a shot glass on the floor and they put it in their mouth and then roll to their back. They could see how many shots they could do that way. I think I went after somebody with a sword one night.
Yep.
Yeah.
At your house?
We
Oh,
had
yeah.
all of 2 parties.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to have any more after that.
Done.
No,
Yeah.
No,
Who told you no more? She said no more.
We both agreed.
I think we kind of agreed.
Yeah.
It's like, combine all these drunken wrestlers.
Right.
And me, who was also drunk. And I'm at home and I'm in my safest spot ever. And I'm a born performer. Oh boy, it wasn't a good combo. you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Well, this woman I see at my school all the time, Monica.
I adore Monica.
She's awesome.
She has the sweetest
really
heart.
is.
She really is. So I keep in touch with her, message every now and then. She's going through a lot,
Yep.
obviously,
Yes.
and it's not for the faint of heart.
Right.
None of this is. So no, she's great. You know, I growing up with the kids, I saw how easygoing she was with their kids, and I kind of tried to be a little more like that.
Right.
And you know, she was just an influence on me, definitely, with that type of stuff, and just learning to take life, just be, you know,
Yeah.
life is good. Yep.
She's really, really a sweetheart of a woman. She really is.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, what did you think of Jeff?
Jeff?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Jeff. I could sit and listen to Jeff's stories for hours, and it's even better watching the two of them have a conversation.
Right.
They have a blast. It's great. It's great. No, he's got a good heart. He really does.
It's a little different between me coming here with Jeff and which was good.
Which was awesome.
But you get me and Jeff and Rip at the coffee table, and there's no holes barred, and you know,
Right.
and just every terrible story that ever came up with, and he tell
And
you
it gets
about,
loud.
He tell you, oh yeah, because we're trying to get over each other,
Right,
you know, at
right,
the same time.
right,
'Cause we're
yeah.
very loud, very loud.
He is very loud
It's
too.
a
though.
blast.
He
though.
starts
It's
getting
fantastic.
the stories like the Tennessee pea picker who he had to wrestle in Alaska, and just all sorts of weird stories, and you start, and by the time you leave, you forgot what you're even friggin' talking about,
Right.
Yeah.
Because he's just so
And
much
forgot a lot
fun.
of your troubles too. Yeah.
He'd break out some of the old posters, and we'd laugh at what was on there. I don't
Right.
believe I got away with that one. Wrestling
Those
in
posts,
3D.
that was unbelievable. The wrestling in 3D thing. He found he found a box of 3D glasses at a not a yard sale,
Like a
but
dollar
like a
store or
dollar.
something
Yeah,
like that.
Yep, we sold them for $1 a piece.
I know. I bought one.
I probably sold it
I
to you.
probably bought two because I probably had my son with me, so I probably had to buy two.
That was the secret. This is how we could have really made some money on this. For it to be in 3D, you really needed 3 pairs of glasses.
Oh.
That's $3. You cheaped out. You
I
missed
did.
out on
I
the
missed
experience.
out. I
You
missed out.
on the experience.
Yeah.
Yes, you did.
But Jeff was a crazy promoter, man. Crazy. And when Matt brought him here for me, that was just, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it.
Dale will tell you I do like to kick in doors and surprise people sometimes.
You
Hello!
certainly did. You surprised me, that's for sure. That was incredible. And how about Wolfman? Jason.
We always got along great, actually. I still to this day joke with him and say I want my $2 back because I played the lottery at the same time that he won.
Yeah, yeah. But him and his wife, they won the lottery. And they went their separate ways.
Life happened.
What a great way. No, but I'm just saying, listen, if you're not going to make it as a couple, you might as well leave rich.
There was some self-imposed medical problems.
Or was it, yeah?
I'm not going to really get
No, I
into
don't blame you.
beyond that.
That's fine.
But
I love Jason. So
she
My
died a
favorite
while ago.
was, if I can tell a brief story about her, was she was very into, she volunteered at like the animal rescues, and I don't think she was a member of PETA, but she was definitely the, ASPCA and stuff.
Yeah.
And we were shopping for Christmas gifts one year, and he bought her because he knew that she liked Indian crafts and style things. He got her a stretched beaver pelt. And I said, you cannot give that to her for Christmas. So it's still hanging on our family room wall.
It is.
Yeah.
I could not give it to her.
No.
No. There's a joke in there about a stretched beaver pelt that we won't get into.
No.
But,
No.
now his son Nick just turned like 24 or something like that.
yes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what was the other son's name? I just
Colin.
remembered. Was it Colin?
Colin, yep.
Yes.
Yep. They used to
yes.
run around with Taylor at the
They used to
shows
come
and
over.
stuff.
I'd be selling my merchandise, and they'd want a wrestling dog. I'd have loose, and I'd be like, "Here, just take him in."
Yep.
Jason, no. Listen, if I want to give it to him, let me give it to him.
What are you giving the millionaire's son anything for?
Because they were kids. They were
Kids,
kids,
yep.
and he didn't have money in their hand. So I figured I had to take care of them.
Yep.
They were good kids, though.
They were, yep, they
They
played-
really were. He did a hell of a job on them.
Yeah, he did.
And man, does he look like freaking Santa Claus. No,
he does.
really,
I went
though.
to school for it and everything.
He's the most, any Santa Claus I've ever seen, like, plays this, Jason kills it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really Santa.
Right.
It's unbelievable.
No.
He was a practicing Wiccan. He can actually probably come down your chimney.
He probably could. But what a good guy, though. And I mean, he's, like if someone passes away in my family, and, he'll always, send me a message. I'll say a prayer
Yes.
for him in my services and stuff. Just an awesome, awesome
Good
guy.
person.
That's why I was attracted to that group as a whole.
Yeah.
And just
I believe it.
there was just a plethora of. Everybody makes such a big deal about. They want to. Oh, I gotta have the best match, but to have
Right.
the best match, they got to work with the best person. I explained my match with Louis Ortiz. I was like, yeah, we had a really good match, but of course I had a really good match with Louis Ortiz.
Right.
It's something else to go in where the guys aren't thought of as athletically
Yep.
and stuff, but they're just. If I walked in that situation and it was a bunch of scumbags, you'd have probably not seen me wrestling up a Nashua too much,
Right.
honestly. But it was just such a great environment. Everybody was super friendly.
Yep.
Almost sometimes the opposite of a wrestling locker room, in a way, and I mean
Yeah.
in a good way.
Right.
Because anybody that was like stuck up, they really didn't fit in.
Right. Right.
They really didn't fit in.
Yep.
You were like the island of misfit toys in the
Yeah.
best of ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of misfit toys, Pinky Petunia.
Yep.
Love Pinky. Great guy.
Yep.
Jason's a great kid. What'd you think of Pinky?
My memory of him is when he and Jeff were going to have a roller derby match.
No, that was him and Rip, right?
him and
It was
Rip.
him and Rip. It was
Sorry,
him and Rip.
sorry.
That's all right.
And they were going to have a roller derby match, but he didn't know how to.
Neither one of them knew how to roller skate.
skate.
Neither one. They waited till the day of the show.
Yes, yes. So I think Pinky was using a tricycle or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, was Pinky riding the bike or was Pinky on the back of the bike?
Pinky was on the back of the bike.
And
holding
Sonny
on.
was riding the bike.
It was actually his. It gets even crazier. It wasn't Sonny. It was.
Oh, it was Sonny.
his cross-dressing manager, Mama.
Mama.
Oh, yeah, Cody Boynes.
Boynes,
Listen,
yeah.
we had transgender going on.
Oh, yeah,
in
you did.
Hampshire
Yeah, you did.
25 goddamn years ago.
Wow.
We were cutting edge.
Yeah,
we
yes,
were
sir.
the Rainbow Crew, as far as I'm concerned.
Dude, those were some of my most fun times going to shows. You know what I mean? Just so funny. I remember he booked Jimmy Snooker one night. And me and my son go in, right? And Jimmy Snooker's looking. My son goes, "My dad came to see you." And Jimmy's like, "Come here, brother. Come here." And I'm like,
No.
and Michael's like, "Dad, we came here for you to meet him." I ain't going over there. It literally took like 10 minutes for me to get up the courage to go over and stand next to the
You're not
guy.
all set. Your name wasn't Nancy.
What were you? Was it because you were starstruck?
Yeah, 100%. He's my favorite wrestler, man. Jimmy Snuka. I was a magazine kid, so I knew all about wrestling from like 1972 on, you know?
that's all I got.
And I knew exactly when I watched it because the tag team champs, and like I found out, like Tanaka and Fuji, 1972, 73. So it was a lot of fun, though, man, just going to Jeff's shows, and I had so much fun.
And I think if it was a different environment, it would have definitely been a different experience
Right.
on my end of things.
Yep.
Because, if it was total serious and no fun, and it would have been different. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this isn't how she feels about anybody.
Yeah.
She didn't go to many Sheldon Goldberg shows.
Yeah.
Just because, it was just. This
Well,
is
it was
nothing against
timing.
you, Sheldon, if you're
Right.
watching.
Yeah, yeah, of course
This
not.
is just the
Sheldon's a good
environment was
dude.
so much different. There
Right.
were wives there.
Yeah.
They'd even help watch the kids.
Right.
It was. That was why I excelled in that environment because
Right.
I've always said that I didn't get full time into wrestling because of family.
Right, right.
And it's the best decision I ever made in my goddamn life.
That's awesome. And now, did you ever go to any of his chaotic matches?
I don't remember.
Not many. Probably not many.
right.
No, again,
Because that's pretty much the same time, right? I mean, chaotic and then NECW.
it was like I went to. Like I've always been weird. I always do the primary promoter.
Right.
So I wasn't working for Sheldon anymore. That's how I ended up over at Chaotic, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
Whereas a lot of guys, just get them all, get all the bookings you can. And I don't want to be that aggravated with that many people.
Right.
The
No,
more-
you wanted to go and have fun and enjoy yourself. And
Right.
No,
and have a
it
good
wasn't just
match
that. I
and-
wanted to have a good match.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
There were times it certainly didn't look like I was having fun. The best matches of my life, I probably didn't look like I was having any fun because it's working very hard, you know.
Right.
And I'm not.
But you enjoy that.
I'm not a spot planner, so a lot of what I do in the ring would just come as I go, come as I go, come as I go. So I would put myself in leadership positions, and just everybody would, people would have to kind of follow. And
Right.
I kind of lost my train of thought there. What were we talking
So
about?
good.
Now, do you know some of the other New England wrestlers? Like, do you know Big Rick Fuller?
Yes. Actually, I helped sew buttons back on his shirt.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, him and Pat Garrett, yeah. Yeah, both of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Still
actually,
Pat's
they,
still wrestling.
Yeah.
is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just retired from playing football.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember he had
Imagine-
the giant tattoo on his leg. Was it Elvis?
Yeah.
On his leg or something like that? Yeah.
My brother Dana knows both those guys because he played semi-pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played against the Middleborough
Right.
Cobras.
I want to get Rick for 400. I'm trying.
So he, again, big, scary, tough guy.
Yeah.
He was never anything but nice to me.
Right. He's a sweetheart of a
I
guy.
can't even
He's
think
lost a lot of weight.
Has he?
Yeah, he was at a show just last weekend or 2 weekends ago up in Maine, and because Scotty's Too Hot he wrestled, and him and Scotty were friends from back in the day.
Yep.
And Rich Palladino posted a picture of it. So I went to see Beyond Wrestling Thursday night. So I got to talk to Rich, and I said, hey, I never pull these cards out. Think you could ask him for me, if he'd be interested in coming on to be number 400. Rich, of course he's going to do it.
Yeah.
Rich is the best. But Rick Fuller.
Yeah, nice guy.
That Mr. Chop. Oh,
Yeah, he had.
Listen, that's all he knew how to do when he first started. Okay. And you know who
yeah.
he got most of his practicing on?
Yeah.
Me.
Yep.
I think I just broke a microphone. Anyways, me. Yeah. Oh my God, what do you do? A chop, boy. Although I did him. Tony Atlas had never met him one, so I wrestled on a show with Rick, and the next day we go to another show in a bar, and Rick's supposed to work with Tony Atlas, and Tony Atlas like, who's this Rick Fuller? Where's this Rick Fuller? I said, and he didn't know where he was, and then he looks at me and goes, whoa, boy, who did that to your chest? I said, a guy named Rick. Oh, don't worry about it. You're going to know him really well in about an hour. And he's eyes me like,
Oh, yeah.
and then he took Rick aside in the corner and said, you ain't doing that to me.
That's funny because Rick is one of my favorites in the St. Stan's Hall.
Yeah.
Do you happen to know who Virgil is?
Yeah.
Yeah, Virgil was being, I guess, a real jerk to Mike Spada backstage. So they get in the ring and Rick goes to the referee. Me and my son are in the second row, and Rick Fuller goes to the referee. Watch this, and he gets in the ring and he lights him up, like 4 or 5 chops, and then Virgil hits him with the low blow. Feet on the ropes, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Virgil gets the win. Virgil left the ring, walked out. I turned like this. I see him going back in the ring. I turn like this, and there he is. He's going out the front door, still dressed in his wrestling clothes.
I said I hit hard, and Rick came up came up in the same environment I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is, Rick is twice my size, and hitting hard is a little different.
But Rick was always nice, okay? And I always had
he was safe too. I don't want to say he hurt you.
And I also had a kind of relationship with him because when I would sell merchandise, if his wife was there and she wanted to sell shirts, I would always give her space.
Yeah.
And she'd always be like, I only need this space. And I'd be like, no, I'd give her more, And he always treated the kids or whoever I brought with me.
No, he's a good guy.
Great guy.
He is.
Guys, thank you. Dale's so happy to finally have you on the show.
Yo, how you doing?
Mav?
Yeah.
Guys, that's it. We're out. Peace. Hi, guys. I hope you're enjoying the show. Listen, I could use a little help to grow my YouTube channel. So if you could please like, share, and subscribe. That's most importantly, subscribe. Send me a direct message, and I'll give you a shout out here on the show. My YouTube channel is real simple. It's just my name, Leo Connors. Thanks in advance. Peace.